Good afternoon, everyone. The July 27th, 2021 Special School Board meeting of the Marion County School Board is called to order. The purpose of the meeting is to hold a public hearing on the tentative millages and budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Allison Campbell, District 1.
Here.
Mr. Eric Cummings, District 3. Mrs. Nancy Thrower, District 4.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly King, District 5.
Here.
Mr. Jeremy Powers, School Board Attorney.
Here.
Dr. Diane Gullett, Superintendent.
Here. Please stand for the pledge.
A note for the record that Ms. Campbell is appearing telephonically, but we otherwise have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Superintendent Gullett would like to provide opening remarks regarding the 2021-2022 fiscal year tentative budget received last week and on the proposed millage rates. Good afternoon, Dr. Gullett.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. The tentative budget has not been amended since the board received it on July 22nd, 2021. The proposed total millage rate is greater than the rolled back rate by 4.39%. The board set work sessions to review the budget at 9 a.m. for the following: Thursday, August 5th for the general fund, Thursday, August 12th for the capital budget, including the 5-year work plan and all remaining funds, and also on Thursday, August 19th, if needed. The final budget hearing is scheduled for September 7th, 2021. I now invite Ms. Boston Ellis forward to present you this information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Thrower, Vice Chair King, Dr. Gullett, Mr. Powers, Mrs. Martinez-Lopez. Good evening. Excited to get this budget process beginning tonight. Just remember that this is at a 10,000-foot view and that we will be looking at some specific items in order for you to vote on the tentative budget, which will be amended and changed throughout the process, and then also vote on the tentative millage. You may recall that the millage cannot be increased after you vote on it tonight, but it can be decreased. So that's something always important to remember. As a part of this process, our budget goals include, of course, we want to make sure that funds are at the school level supporting the classes, that we are in line with the strategic plan, that we continue to support the programs that were cut during the recession. But again, tonight our objectives are to adopt the tentative millage as well as adopt the tentative budget. These are some very important dates. We were talking a little before the meeting started that the Truth in Millage statute that came about in 1980 is very specific. Timeline begins July 1 and continues through the process of the budget being adopted at September 7th. So as you recall, on the 22nd, we presented the budget and the millage to you to vote on so that we could put it in the newspaper on Saturday. We met both of those deadlines. So now the next deadline is tonight. The board is charged to adopt tentative millages as well as the tentative budget. We will have 3 work sessions where we will present the budget for all of the funds, and we'll use all 3 sessions if needed. And then the final budget will be adopted September 7th. Then we'll get ready to start the process all over again.
It's a cycle.
Right. So as a part of the funding for schools, the community, and we like to say the community contribution, we are required to levy taxes, and if we want to participate in the FEFP program and receive state funds. So in order to participate in state funds, we need to levy The first one on the schedule you see is the required local effort. It is set by the legislators. The next item is the prior period adjustment, and that's based on the value adjustment board from last year. If we lost any revenue from taxes due to the value adjustment board, we are allowed or we are provided a millage to levy to recoup those funds that we did not receive last year. So as you can see, that's about 86 million. I want to point out that the millage, the required local effort millage, was reduced this year. We've noticed that happening probably for the past 5-10 years as we've seen the property tax values increase. The remaining millages are considered discretionary and include the discretionary operating at .748, would generate 17 million. What I'd point out to you here is if we do not levy this, we will not receive the additional funds in the state. So it's a discretionary, but it really isn't. Then also, of course, the added voted millage of 1.0 mil, which our community voted for. And so that will, we will get about 23.6 million. And then the capital outlay of 1.5 mil, we will earn about $35.4 million. So our total local contribution at the millage of 6.903 will generate $163 million. So in this budget cycle, the revenue highlights include the following. From the federal perspective, we are anticipating additional funds. This is the ESSER 2, and I'm pleased to announce that we received a template last week, and we are getting together to finalize and submit that template. And we will earn about $56 million from that template. A lot of the funds, our staff have already come together and decided on some items that we need to do to support schools. Things like intervention teachers, Canvas, also providing additional planning time for our teachers, and so forth. So it was quite easy to come up with those dollars. Also, we did see an increase in the base student allocation of about $53.42. There were increases in the categoricals, the teacher salary increase allocation, student transportation, and mental health received some small, modest increases as well. For decreases in the budget, there was a decrease in our unweighted FTE, and we've been talking about that for the entire year. Right now, we are projected to be about 1,000 down from our what we consider the July from last year. We also, because these categoricals are tied to unweighted FTE, will see decreases in the ESC guaranteed funds, the SAI or supplemental academic, the turnaround school supplement. There was a decrease in that. Mostly due because we only have one school in that status versus the two that we had last year. And then also, the formula for class size was changed as well, so we have a decrease in class size. For the public education capital outlay, the PICO fund for another year, the school districts will not receive any PICO maintenance funds. Again, it went to the charter schools. And also that non-recurring compression adjustment that we have been receiving for the last 4 or 5 years, we saw a reduction in that, about $1 million as well. As far as the locals, because our property tax increased about 9.3%, I looked back to 1977, and this year is the highest property value that we've had since we started recording the taxable value. So it's a 9.33% increase, about $24 billion. And because of that, we saw an increase in our local taxes, the referendum, and the capital funds. But that was offset somewhat by the reduction in the required local effort. So let's look at tentative budget for 2021-2022. The total budget is $698.4 million. As you probably expected, general fund is the predominant funding for this budget, $442.1 million. And we'll follow with food service at 39.3, our special revenue other, which are our federal and local grants, 60.6 million, debt payment, 14.6 million, and our capital projects, 69 million, and the internal service fund, which now includes not only our property and casualty, but also we are self-funded fully for health insurance. Last year, we had half of a year, 6 months, because the health insurance is on a regular January to December year, and we work on a fiscal year. So this is the first year where we have the full budget, and that represents the majority of that increase in our budget due to the internal service fund for health insurance. My favorite are the pie charts, where you can see again how our funding is structured. Again, 63% is for general fund combined. That includes our general fund operating, the adult education program, as well as referendum. I think the rest of them are they range between 2% for debt service all the way up to 10% for our internal service fund. So let's look at this budget based on the purchases. What are we purchasing? For the all funds, for salary and benefits, that represents about 62% of our budget for all funds. And then the remaining are small portions ranging from 5% for materials and supplies through 12% for other expenditures. Next, we can look at it from a functional perspective. I think I went too far here. Functional perspective, again, just giving you another look. What I'd like to point out here is 55% of our budget is spent on instruction and instructional support. So not only teachers, paras, but also our guidance counselors, media, those who support the classroom. So 55% of that is spent on those items. And I think that is probably the predominant expenditure. The next in line is fiscal services and central services, and those are all of your different departments that support the schools. And looking at the general fund combined, it's made up again, as I stated, the operating budget, the adult education, as well as referendum. And it's our daily operations, predominant by personnel salaries and benefits, transportation, materials and supplies, and of course, contracted services for things like speech therapists and occupational therapists and other purchase services. So 2 looks. Our budget for this general fund combined is $442 million. Again, you can see that 92% of this budget is general fund operating, 6% is referendum, and 2% is adult education. And if we look at it again by the summary of objects or what is purchased, we can see that salaries and benefits represent about 79% of our budget. And that is a recurring cost, and we need to always keep that in mind when we are building a budget. So what do we see as fiscal challenges for the district? Again, we are continuing to operate in a pandemic, which will impact us in many, many ways, families and our students, teachers, but also there is some sort of uncertainty about enrollment and what has been shared with us about, what will not happen this year. As you recall, the decision by the governor and the Department of Education was to pretty much hold school districts harmless. And by that, we received $11 million that we would have not received last year if we had been, if we had truly been evaluated based on the number of unweighted FTE that we had. So we were held harmless. Also, again, the use of unassigned fund balance for recurring items. We have to always keep that in the back of our mind. And we continue to face a technology challenge. Hopefully we will be able to use some of the ESSER federal funding to help offset some of those costs, but that is a cost that is always growing. The need is always there, whether it's in the classroom for the boards or whether it's for Chromebooks that our students need to take home. Also, we continue to grapple with the age of our buildings, our vehicles, and our buses, and this is probably like a broken record to you, but we always keep that in the back of our mind. And of course, the costs associated to meeting the Safe Schools mandates. So just as a recap, the budget is balanced, which is a requirement of the law. We had to budget it, we had to balance it.
Yeah, ma'am.
It was $698 million again. This increase was due basically to the Internal Service Fund health insurance. Our property tax millage actually decreased from the past year. We continue to look for ways to meet our financial resources that are needed in the capital. We learned the other week from Robert that we have close to $500 million in the 5-year plan that are unfunded needs. And again, we will continue to discuss these items, and we will discuss them in more detail on our August 5th, 12th, and if needed, on the 19th work session. Looking forward to the discussions, and if you have any questions, you could email us or call us. Stop us in the hallway. We'll be glad to address any questions that you have. If we can't do it at the work session, we'll have the information to you in the next work session. Thank you for your time and your support. And before I leave, I want to thank also the staff. Business Services they have been working really, really hard. This year was probably more of a challenge for everyone. And they've been silently suffering, but getting the job done. And I just wanted them to hear, during this meeting, how much I appreciate, and I know you appreciate the hard work that they are doing.
We sure do, Teresa, and thank you. You have an award-winning team, and we are very, very blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we appreciate your support as well.
Team effort.
Madam Chair, members of the board, then I recommend adoption of the tentative millages and tentative budget for 2021-2022 fiscal year, and thanks to the team as well.
Thank you. The question occurs on the superintendent's recommendation to adopt the following tentative millages. Required local effort millage at 3.6420 mils. Required prior period funding adjustment millage at 0.013 mils. Discretionary millage at 0.748 mils. Capital improvement millage at 1.500 mils. Additional voted millage at 1 mils, for a total of 6.9030 mils. And to adopt a tentative budget in the amount of $698,477,873. May I have a motion to adopt the 2021-2022 tentative millages of 6.9030 as set forth in the superintendent's recommendation? May I have a motion, please?
So move.
Moved by Board Member Cummings. Second by Vice Chair King. I declare a public hearing. Is there anyone present who wishes to address the board concerning the proposed millages or rolled back rate? Seeing none. Is there any discussion, board? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, Board Member Campbell. The motion passes unanimously. May I have a motion to adopt the 2021-2022 tentative budget in the amount of $698,477,873? May I have a motion, please? Moved by Vice Chair King.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Cummings. I declare a public hearing. Is there anyone present who wishes to address the board concerning the tentative budget? Seeing none, is there any discussion? We'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Board Member Cummings. Seconded by Vice Chair King. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Board Member Campbell?
Yes, aye.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned at 5:27 PM.